Okay, so we're on the Andy's Free Guitar Chart videos. There's the URL right there. Okay, the number, I can hardly see it, but if I go to magnifier, we learned this already last segment, but we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again if I can find it. Okay, we can't seem to get a magnifier, but if you look at the link below, if you like these videos, like and subscribe and share maybe on YouTube, and below there's instructions on how to put that URL together. I can't do the whole link on YouTube because then they'll start asking me all these other questions that I didn't have time to answer. So I just split the link. I put the general Facebook link and then my group number. Now I want to show you, when you get to Andy's Free Guitar Chart videos, you get to the chart you want down here. Okay, it's got some stuff written about it. Click on the chart, go to full screen, and then go to magnifier in. And this is about how close you could get to today's chart here. Okay, I haven't uploaded the new changes I made this morning. That's about how close you can get. Now we're gonna X out of this browser here. Boom. Now here is the real chart, the real deal chart, and look at how close we can get. We can go all the way in right this far. You see the difference between the Facebook and the real deal charts, which I may put online sometime or sell them somehow in the future when I get done doing them, because I'm still doing my research here. So let's talk about today's chart and let's talk about today's lesson. Okay, and this is chart 437. This is a really great chart. Doesn't matter if it's not a really even number like 437 or chart 500 or 400, but those start to play with your head. That chart 500 or 400, that plays with your head. 12 key modal scales, modal 7th chord chart, all 7 modes, all 12 keys, open capo frets 0 to 4, that's 5 frets per cage. By definition, long cutout scales and half chords shaped 7ths. Let's talk about what's going on with this chart and look at this. Hey, look at this. It looks like it's looking at you, at us, right? So each one of the squares, the square 5 fret cages, has a lowest playable note. Okay, so this would be Mixolydian, this would be the key of the 4th. Okay, and we'll get to some of that explanation. Easy rule, if lowest playable note equals C, okay, then 5 here, lowest playable note, is the 5th of C, that's G. That would be G. The key would be G there. Key of 4, R equals the 4th in the key of G. So if this is the 5th, rather, now we're getting back to why are we looking at okay. If we have up here, the lowest playable note is 5, still written up there. So here's your LPNs. Here's a 5 right here. The key would be the 4th. If the LPN is a C, it would be the 4th of C is the key of F. Okay? Because C is the 5th of F. If the LPN is an E, the 4th of E is A. It would be the key of A. So you see why we don't have a particular key to talk about. It's just the key of the 4th of the I guess the 4th of the LPN. Now the LPN doesn't change. Okay? So you see this LPN, if this is E, then this is E and this is E. You agree on it. That LP on that E note doesn't change. It does not change. Or if you want to down tune to C, it doesn't change. If you want to capo up to a G, it doesn't change. The LPN stays the same. So here's the little LPNs go in perfect fourths on the chart. G, okay, the G is the fourth of the fourth, which is the 7 flat. So we've got 7 flat. We've got the 3 flat in the D string shape. The D string shape's 2, 3, 4. 3 string shape key, you see right here on the piano, etc. all the way around in fourths. The key follows in perfect fifths. Okay, so that's the name of that tune. So let's look at some of these notes I made, because this will explain things, make it easier. Key number is relative to the LPN, the lowest playable note in the cage. Here's the LPN, just a perfect example of if you're going to make a cage here, no matter how big it is, this is the lowest playable note. So if you're down tuned C like mine, it would be down here. If you have Mr. Capo on, where'd Capo go today? Where are my birds? They're supposed to be going Capo. Lowest playable note would be E there. If you're down D tuned, lowest playable note would be D. So root would be D. If you want to put a capo on the G, here's my G. Lowest playable note would be G in that cage. Okay, we're back. So let's read some of these notes. Example, the lowest playable note equals C note equals 7 flat in this particular cage. It's an Ionian scale, you can see, because that's the scale we're going to play here. We don't have a whole lot of choice, although in this Locrian box here, it says Ionian because we could start the root here. Sorry, my bad there. In the Locrian box, we've got buddies, 7 and root. So we can do our Ionian scale, and we do that all the time. All the time, guitarists go. Let's say we're going to play a G, E shape. Okay? We got our finger on the root there. Really, in the E shape, pure E shape, we're going to do this thing. Okay, which is the Locrian scale. So this one and this over here, we do the same thing with the C box. We can play the Lydian fourth on those, off those buddies. So that's the only reason why these have 3 stacked up here and some extra up here. G is 7 flat. G would be there. It would be right to put 7 flat in each one of these, the top and bottom. So I 1 and 1, so we know what it is. This is the E string, the B string, the G string, the D string, the A string, and the E string again, but I put the lowest playable note there. So we're space sharing on these charts. So we're really looking at an E7 root 2 there, Locrian, right? Okay. So the note says, example, lowest playable note equals C. Now we're down C tuned where I am. Okay, we're down C tuned. C, okay, that's 2 octaves below middle C. This C is the 7 flat. Okay, so the C equals 7 flat. The G string shape is at the 7 flat. What is the key? The key is 2 because C is the 7 flat of the key of D. So here's D and here's C.